Wow, what a season it has been so far in the NBA. From highlights to dunks to big trades to one of the best trade deadlines we have ever seen to one of the most competitive MVP races we have ever seen that I made a video on recently. This has been a very tumultuous season in the NBA. And this feels a bit different than past years to where it was eventful, but maybe not as close as this season. However, in a league where usually defense takes a backseat to offensive wizardry, the amazing highlights, the big dunks, the big shots, for more basketball purists and analysts and certain subsection fans of the sport, we just love defense and we love to see defense, and that's why one thing that has been or should be on the top of headlines is this Defensive Player of the Year race. Now, ever since Victor Wembanyama has gotten injured, it has shifted a little bit to where at first it's pretty obvious that Victor is going to run away with the award, but unfortunately due to his blood clot that he sustained, and I hope he gets well soon, it has shifted the odds of who could win the Defensive Player of the Year. And now it's looking like it's just between two of the top defenders in the league, one being a veteran and one being a young and up-and-coming star. Now, before I get too deep in the video, make sure you leave a like on the video because I know you're going to enjoy it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because I know you're going to enjoy my future videos and I know you're going to like this. So just go ahead and leave a like, go ahead and subscribe. If you have something to say, leave a comment down below. But that's all for me. Let's get right back into it. Now, when Victor Wembanyama was announced that he was going to be out indefinitely and for the rest of the season after All-Star break, it was very surprising and it caught everybody off guard. A lot of people were saying this was an unexpected, but it was an unexpected opening for the Defensive Player of the Year race. And it had certain players like Evan Mobley and none other than the Warriors' Draymond Green extra enthused to capture this award, knowing that Wemby was injured and he wasn't going to make the eligibility requirements to get the award. Now, pre-injury, Wemby was the overwhelming favorite for Defensive Player of the Year, and it was really not even going to be a debate on who was going to win it. I would even have been making a video like this because it simply just would have been Vic's award. However, now that he's injured, we have a real race between none other than Draymond Green and Evan Mobley. And Draymond Green had made it very sudden that when Vic went out, he was going to take it up a gear and go after this Defensive Player of the Year award. And with his play in recent weeks, it's not that far off from actually becoming reality. And it would be even crazy for Draymond as he already has one Defensive Player of the Year award. And for him to get another one in 8 years, not only is that the first time we'll ever see something like that ever happen, but it's pretty insane to even think about. But a player like Evan Mobley, who was always sitting square right behind Victor in that Defensive Player of the Year race, has been phenomenal all season and has really maintained his same level of play. And that makes it kind of contrasting between these two contenders. You have a player like Draymond Green, who, if we're going down his resume, Defensive Player of the Year, multiple all-defensive teams, multiple championships, just the whole 9 yards. And for somebody who's more so known for his fiery passion, his trash talking, his technical fouls, and his just overall exertion on the court, it's not to be ignored how he, on defense, he has been consistently, one could argue, the best defensive player of this here generation. Just due to his IQ, his ability to know how to put players in certain positions, his ability to be a, not high level, but a pretty great rim protector, and just an overall force on that defensive end and an anchor for the Warriors defense for over a decade at this point, has put him once again in this Defensive Player of the Year race. But somebody like an Evan Mobley, who is a 23-year-old, who is more of the newer generation of defensive stars who just recently got his first All-Star appearance, is more so on the opposite end of that. Of course, he still has the IQ, but he's definitely way better rim protector than Draymond Green is. And the way he anchors that Cavs defense is a bit different than the way Draymond does it for the Warriors. Now, even when comparing the two, even if you go to statistics, these players are just so close to each other. When it comes to defensive rating, these players are 13th and 14th, and they are separated by just 1/10 of a point. And then when you get into the statistics individually, as such as blocks and steals, that doesn't really give you much either. Evan gives you about a block and a steal per game, and Draymond will give you about the same thing. A little bit more steals, as I think he gives you about 1.5 steals to 1.5 blocks. But regardless, it's around the same numbers, give or take whatever you want to do with either one of those. And it really speaks to how they play defensively. Evan Mobley is more so of a rim protector, doesn't really go on that perimeter too much, and doesn't really play the passing lanes like how someone like Draymond Green is. However, with how great Evan Mobley is at the rim, he deters a lot of things away from the rim. And a lot of people be scared to go in that rim and challenge him just because of how great he has been on the defense side of the ball. Rather, Draymond, who's really good at playing the passing lanes, really good at his anticipation, and can also get down there and hang with the big guys, he impacts the game for the Warriors way differently. However, don't misconstrue the fact that Evan Mobley can get out there in the perimeter and guard a little bit. His very tall frame and how fluid his body just moves has allowed him to get out there on the perimeter and hold his own with some of the best perimeter threats in the entire NBA. And as we know, Draymond could do the same, but I feel like Mobley's defensive versatility can kind of get overlooked just because of some of the stereotypes and narratives surrounding why people his size, and people who play his position. But Mobley's a bit different. Now, the crazy thing is about Draymond is that Draymond really just made a very last-minute push against the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. Not to say he hadn't been defending at a high level all season. He had been a very big reason as to why that Warriors defense was even somewhat competent before they got a player like Jimmy Butler. But in March, he won Defensive Player of the Year, and it's pretty evident that he has kind of taking on a new gear, and as they go into that playoff race, and as this defensive player of the year race heats up. And that's why some people now have him as a favorite, and the buzz surrounding Draymond being defensive player of the year is growing more and more each day after a lot of people really were just trying to make between Evan Mobley and Dyson Daniels. And Dyson Daniels isn't someone who needs to be overlooked either. Dyson Daniels has been phenomenal for the Atlanta Hawks and has been a menace on the defensive side of the ball for the Hawks. Perimeter, playing passing lanes, anticipation, just being a overall threat on that defensive side of the ball has caused a lot of troubles for any team that has gone up against Atlanta this season. And it's a big reason why he has gotten some buzz for Defensive Player of the Year as well. But as we know, traditionally, a bunch of guards really aren't looked at as Defensive Player of the Year candidates, although I think he should definitely be considered for the award, and I think he has a pretty good argument for the best defensive player in the NBA. We just know that he most likely is not going to win. Now, with all that being said, and with all these people having their conflicting opinions on who should win this Defensive Player of the Year, I think in the end, despite Draymond making a very last-minute push in the fight, despite him once again being a very integral part to the Warriors and their success on the defensive end of the ball this season, I have to give it to Evan Mobley just because of how consistent he has been throughout the season. Because in my opinion, he has played at a higher level on the defensive end of the ball than Draymond Green the entire season. Just playing his role as a defender on that team has put the Cavs at the heights they are at now, so where they're one of the top teams in the entire NBA. The big reason is due to Evan Mobley's high play on defense. Now, Draymond Green has been great as well, even though the Warriors haven't been good, but I feel like the way Evan has performed in his role versus how Draymond has performed in his role has been very different. I feel like Evan has honestly been better, which is why I'll have to take him for the Defensive Player of the Year, in my opinion. But these are just my opinions. That's just how I view things. Let me know how you guys view things down below in the comments. Do you think Draymond should win Defensive Player of the Year? Do you agree with me and think Evan should win Defensive Player of the Year? Or are you a Dyson Daniels truther and you think Dyson deserves the Defensive Player of the Year? Let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Dropping videos like this all the time. But that's all I have for now. Till next time, peace.